Yes, there is a dark side to becoming the best version of yourself. Hi, and welcome back. My name is Joanna Fatonji. I'm a certified life mastery consultant with the premier training institute for transformational life coaching, the Brave Thinking Institute. And I have been a life coach for over 10 years now. And I can tell you, as good as it sounds, leveling up content, everybody's trying to glow up, everybody wants to work on themselves, break and bust those limitations, and step into their power, right? Step into their potential, whatever words you're listening to. I want to shed some light on the dark side of becoming the best version of yourself. And when I speak about becoming the best version of yourself, I'm speaking about becoming the most divine version of yourself, not only from the outside, but from the inside out. And what that truly means is to realize that you are divine, to realize that you are an extension of God and that you are a spirit inside a human experience. And becoming the best version of yourself is realizing that, is to realize that you are not your body and that you are not your mind. So we are transcending the body, mastering the body, and we're mastering the mind and everything that comes with that, right? So becoming the best version of yourself, working on yourself, right? It always starts with healing your childhood trauma, whether it's inflicted by your mom or your dad. Like, there are two sides to it, right? The feminine, like depending on how your relationship with your mom was, that's like the mother wound. And the mother wound has effects on your femininity, your relationship to the divine feminine, the feminine. How do you relate to the feminine? What was your mother? What kind of representation was your mother of the divine feminine mother? And what representation was your father of the divine masculine, right? And in many like monotheistic religions, God is always a man, right? So we relate to our Father as the divine masculine, right? So these are the fundamentals, right? I've spoken about that in previous videos. If you want to go deeper into that, go back into the other videos. But this is how it starts, right? Becoming the best version of yourself starts with the internal work, not necessarily the outer glow up, but it can be both, right? You can start working on yourself outside, and then it will reflect back inside. Like, if you look better, you feel better. Sometimes when you feel better, you look better, right? It goes vice versa. But the real metaphysical um, process is from the inside out. And from the inside out is, yeah, getting rid of all of the root chakra, like the fundamentals, the how well, like, how safe do you feel in this world? How much do you trust yourself in this body? Right? I spoke about that in another video as well, but I just want to briefly go through it. That is becoming the best version of yourself, just so we are clear on what I'm talking about. I'm not only speaking about beautifying yourself and getting your hair done and your makeup and all of that. That's wonderful and beautiful. It's a ritual, it's part of understanding that you are the divine, whether you are a representation of the divine feminine embodiment or even the divine masculine. It's always also about beauty and honoring your temple, right? Your body. Okay, so but what comes with that? What comes with that is a lot of resistance. The first resistance will be internal resistance from the parts inside of yourself that you have adopted from the world. And what I mean by that is it's called the internal voice of judgment. That is how it's called in psychology. But what is the internal voice of judgment? The internal voice of judgment is your mother's voice or your father's voice or the voice of your caretakers, your early caretakers. And for example, and let's start with that. Let's start with the root chakra or the solar plexus chakra. For example, when I think it's around 3 or so, that boys and girls start to touch themselves, right, in their genital area. And for example, if your mother or your father thought, oh my God, that's wrong. Like, I don't want my child to touch themselves. I don't want my child to like signal any kind of sexuality, then this will be shut down by your caretakers. Like, that's taboo, right? You shouldn't touch yourself. You shouldn't like rub on yourself. I know that this is what little girls do when they are free to explore their bodies, right? But for example, so you are being shut down in your natural development. And this is the voice of internal judgment, right? So you hear like the voice of your mother saying no, like don't do that, right? Or your father, like don't do that. Or even sometimes it's not necessarily that they speak to us, but the way they behave or the way they look, right? Like as children, we are super sensitive because we are more of our spirit than our human conditioning. So, with that being said, the voice of internal judgment, which comes from the outside world, which comes from the programming that your parents have adopted, which comes from whether it's religion, culture, right, gender programming, all of these things that the world has created is embodied in your parents when they are not like fully in their divine, and most parents are not. Okay, so your parents judge your natural unfoldment, and this is what you then internalize. So the judgment part, right? This is what you have to overcome when you start growing, when you wanting to start embodying all of who you are, and not from a masked, like from an outside performative way, right? And honestly, like I see that a lot on social media or other teachers, like when it's more of a performance. But I believe that we are now in a times where this is stopping, where people who are really like grounded and very rooted and authentic in their knowledge are coming more to the forefront. But so many people are masking and performing their pleasure and their divinity and all of that. Okay, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm speaking about when you really want to ground in your essence, which is your divinity, which is your highest self and your potential, the best version of yourself. Okay, so when you are here, when you want to unfold and you really want to blossom into your abundance, the first barrier is like detangling the voice of internal judgment inside of you. Inside of you. It has nothing to do with other people first at this point, right? Whether you're 18, 20, 30, 40, depending on where you start on your journey to go to the next level. Yeah. So you want to entangle the voice of internal judgment. Oops. And then you want to continue to grow. And this is where it happens, right? You start becoming more confident, right? You start maybe becoming more confident in your sexuality, right? In you're feeling yourself, right? Like you're feeling yourself, you're becoming more confident, you start to speak from a more confident space. And now the next enemy are other people, right? Before it is, and that is already a lot because the voice of internal judgment is other people. The voice of internal judgment, as I said, is the voice of your mother, your father, your community, right? So you want to free yourself from that, but then the next enemy really are other people, and there we can call it programming, we can call it conditioning, but we can also call it their demons, right? The voice of internal judgment and then external judgment within other people, right? So the thing is, and I'm going to shed some light on that, right? Because once, and it's a continuous thing, but when you have come to the awareness that you are a spirit, right, and you are divine, and you want to claim your divine inheritance, which is everything: beauty, health, amazing relationships, um, stepping into your spiritual natural gifts of creativity, and also money. Yeah, so we're detangling the voice of internal judgment, and now you are becoming more and more of who you truly are. And this is when, as I said, the egos, other people's limitations, other people's programming, other people's conditioning kick in, and they will try to humble you. They will try to knock you down, whether it is in your safety, right? And that's why, for example, on my journey here, I've had the privilege of helping hundreds of women step into their next level. And one of my specialties really is for women to step into their sexuality, because I am, whatever you want to call it, I am a generator, I'm a sacral authority. This is my gift. It's about transmuting sexual energy. Yeah, that's just natural for me. And I know how I liberated myself into who I am, but also helping other women. And I know that if you don't know, and this is why I'm speaking about this today, if you don't know that there is a risk attached to you stepping into your best version, connected to your essence, and your essence as a woman, a big part of it is your sexuality. If you don't know that there's a risk attached to it, you will get knocked over. And what I mean by that is that if you as a woman, if you think spirituality is a game, if you are not rooted in this human experience and you know human nature, you will get knocked over. So, what I mean by that is that women, for example, who cosplay, who step into this, "Oh, I am this divine feminine goddess, and I am now like overly sexual in any given scenario," you will be attacked by leeches. And this is my perspective on, especially like a lot of women in the Tantra space, ooh, and especially men in the Tantra space. Like those people, most of the time, are unhealed, and they just want to have, like, they just want to attach to your sexual energy. Hashtag incubus, succubus energy, like people who will suck you dry in your sexual energy. Because if you present the sexual energy without knowing that you need to protect it energetically, you will get attacked. And I have to say, it happened to me too, because if you don't really know how potent your sexual energy is, you will attract energies that you might not be ready to handle. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So, if you are activating your sexual energy, you have to learn how to wield it. You have to learn how to wield that energy. You have to learn how to manage, right? And maneuver and navigate yourself through this human experience still, because people are going to want to suck you dry. That is the life on this human plane. It's all about energy. And if people see energy, they will want to take a sip, take a bite from your pie, right? So, okay, again, you want to come into your glow up. You want to activate your sexual energy, because this is ultimately what it's about: activating your magnetism, right? Activating your magnetism, activating your power, activating your va-va-voom. Okay, but you got to be ready to wield it, and you have to know human nature. You have to know that people will want to plug in to your engine. Yeah, and you will have to know that people will get triggered. As I said, people will, their demons will get activated, their egos, their limitations, their conditioning, because they will try to shut you down. Women will be threatened by you. So it's very hard to just be around regular women. Yeah. And I'm not speaking from a standpoint of um, being above or below, but I'm speaking about evolution, elevation, ascension, because that's what we're ultimately talking about, right? If you're stepping into your best version, that means you're stepping into your divinity, okay? And stepping into your divinity is mastering your human self, your lower nature, to become more of the observer self, right? The higher self navigating this avatar, right? You know that you are a spirit and you have a body and you wear this body like a dress. You understand? Okay. So other people will get triggered. Other women will get triggered in their insecurities. They will call you a bitch, a Jezebel, a slut. They're gonna be afraid that you want to take their husbands, or their boyfriends. People will feel that you are secure in your sexuality. And again, women will get triggered from a security standpoint, from a beauty standpoint, right? They're going to be like, what is, like, this woman is threatening because her energy is so lavish, so wide, right? So all encompassing, even though you're not even aware that that's what's going to happen in other women. Okay. And you will also trigger men. It's not only going to be, and that's a very important thing. We are speaking about the law of attraction, right? And the law of attraction, many women think, and it happened to me too on the beginning of my journey. In the beginning of the journey, you think the law of attraction is like everything that you attract is for you, because like you think, oh, I attracted this, so this is for me. No, once you turn up that energy, once you step into your magnetism, your power, your channeling more energy, you will attract everything. Because again, people most people are depleted. Most people are not connected to their own source of power. So when they see light, when they feel the energy, they want to be a piece, right? So energy vampires will come and attach themselves to you, right? That's why people speak about narcissists, and especially beautiful women, and especially if you're a triple thread, beautiful, smart, intelligent, ambitious, and spiritual, you're probably going to get the most attacks. And when I speak about attacks, I mean men wanting to attach themselves to you. Maybe you even entering a relationship with a man that you think is your equal, but he hasn't done the spiritual work, right? So this is where all the narcissism talk comes in, because you don't know your power yet. And what is it saying? To whom much power is given, much responsibility is required, something like that. And that's true. Stepping into your divinity comes with a lot of responsibility. And it also comes with the responsibility of you wielding it well. So that's why we are not going to become the same like incubus, succubus energy that is sucking us dry. Okay. Let me come back to the center point, okay? The dark part of ascending, the dark part of coming into your spiritual powers, your sexual powers, your intuition, your creativity. People will be triggered by how creative you are, how many talents you have, how much you can do, right? Because it just comes natural to you, right? But people will get triggered. And if you don't know the dark side of human nature, you will think something is wrong with you, right? But nothing is wrong with you. You are ascending, you are purifying, you are becoming more and more divine in a clear channel of light and energy. Yeah, but other people will get triggered. So you will have to learn that you cannot like display your energy like that everywhere. Okay? You have to learn how to tread with caution. You have to strategically position yourself into certain environments. And even then, there's no guarantee that people will get jealous, envious, get triggered by your light, by your sexual energy, by your creativity, by your confidence, by your open heartedness, because that is what it means to become the best version of yourself. You heal yourself from the inside out, from the root to the creativity, to the confidence, to the heart, right? You become actually a loving person. And that's why sometimes you don't understand why other people want to harm you or why they want to siphon from you, right? Why they came not to give, but they came to take. And that's why it is commonly said, right? Healers or clear channels, ascended women, women who have done the work on themselves, spiritually gifted women need providers, protectors, givers. Because otherwise, and again, this come like that's the discernment, right? The more you shine, the more you activate other people's darkness. It took me so long to understand that, right? Like in the beginning of the journey, you're so naive. You're like, la, 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 la. Let me just give my light to everybody, right? Like, I want to heal you. I want to ascend you. I want to give to you. I want to rescue you. No, this is not part of your divine plan. This is how you will inflict karma upon yourself. Yeah, because first of all, you are not here to help or save people who are not willing to pay the price. And that's why I speak about why gifted women need to be millionaires and have a system and a structure of a business body, an intellectual, an intellectual and energetic real estate around your spiritual gift. Yeah, you're not here to facilitate um, like cheap one-on-one services. No, like a real spiritually gifted woman who has come into self-mastery, self-realization. She is untouchable, untouchable from a sense of self-protection, self-preservation, right? You are the diamond. You have become the diamond because you have done the work. And if you're here, maybe you're still doing the work or you have done the work, and you have to step into the self image of you are the diamond, you are refined, you are the gold, you are the money, right? You are the clear fountain. You are the clear, purified channel. Yeah. And you have, because, and that's also understanding human nature. Again, the dark side of human nature when it's uncultivated. This is one of my favorite words, cultivation. And I'm not, again, I don't like, me personally, I don't like to think of people as, it's not static, right? It's not a permanent thing, that every human being who is not evolving, that it's never going to happen. But you have to choose self-realization. You have to choose self-development, and you have to face your own humanity. This is what is called shadow work, right? You have to face your own darkness. You have to face your own, where have you been? Uh, like leaking energy? Where have you been not responsible of your power? Um, where have you been jealous, envious, right? Where have you been those things? Because this is part of the alchemy. This is part of the purification, right? And many people are not willing to look at themselves, right? So this is just human nature. Most people are not willing to address their programming and their trauma and their conditioning, and then therefore their demons. So you have to understand that most people will project onto you and think you're so much better than them and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, at one point, there are levels to this game, and there's, let's just say, refinement, right? Refinement, 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 until you become the diamond, until you become the gold. And then you have to create systems and distance, right? For example, in order for somebody to be able to touch you, like sexually, or even just come close to you in your call friendship, right? Like this is somebody you call your friend. It's the inner chamber, right? It's very close, very intimate, and that person has to be on the same level, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, so you can be close. If you are a spiritual woman, or even a spiritual man, but I'm more speaking to my spiritual women, um, you need to separate yourself from the masses. That's just what it is. I'm just going to say it without sugarcoating it. You have to separate yourself because you no longer fit, because you have cultivated yourself. And a lot of work went into that, right? Blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of lessons, but also a lot of investment, right? A lot of investment. If you are yet to step into the threshold of claiming your spiritual gifts and actually working on yourself, my Dream Builder program is always open. It's a system of transformation that can be started at any point. So if you are looking forward to actually work on yourself, to get clear on what is your dream, what is your destiny, designing that, right? Bridging the gap between where you are to where you want to be, learn a new skill set of navigating this realm, staying grounded in your divinity, and also navigating yourself to get to your next level, and then actually becoming the person that you're meant to be. Write me, okay? Comment down below, Dream Builder, and I will send you the link and we can take it from there. Okay, so, but going deeper again, you will have to set yourself apart if you've already done the work or if you're doing the work. And you have to understand that most people will not be happy with you stepping into the light, because that's ultimately what it is. Because you will be a reflection of what they are not doing, right? Whether it is internally, when it's your heart and your spirit and your energy, people will feel it. But if your beauty, your physical beauty comes on top of that, people will, like, now obviously see that you are someone who prioritizes yourself. And it is most likely, it is part of your divine mission to become the best version of yourself, to become a light, to become a representation of what a human being is capable of becoming. That is what is stepping into the best version of yourself is to become a, like a showcasing. God wants to show off with you. and you realize that, and you're like, yeah, I can continue to refine myself, right? My energy, my my gifts, my skills, my beauty, my expression, right? All of that is part of becoming the best version of yourself. But again, with every level comes a new devil. When you're beautiful, you will attract people who will want to, either they hate you for it or they want to siphon your energy, right? People want to come and take from you. Either they hate you or they want to take from you. And sometimes it even goes hand in hand, right? If you become more and more um, creative, people, again, they will hate you for it or they want to exploit you, extract from you. That's why you need to protect yourself on both sides, right? You see me work a lot with my hands because I see it, right? It is the energy body. Like, I'm taking myself as an example, right? You become this pillar of light, and it's two sides, right? It's either people want to take or people like throw things at you, right? Good. So same thing with the with your gifts. And that's why it's so important for you to understand who you are and really acknowledge the more subtle your gifts are, the less likely a woman is willing or daring to claim her energy, right? So that's why I'm making this video. It is important for you to claim your energy. It is important for you to know that you are spiritually gifted, because a spiritual gift is very subtle. It's like, I don't know why I know this, but I know it, right? Or I don't know where this inspiration came from, or I don't know what led me here, but I know that it's right? You have intuition. You have foresight, you have premonitions, um, and you just do things, right? You just do it. So, knowing, again, especially on the basic level of sexuality, especially men will siphon your energy. That's why it's so important for you to fully develop into your higher self so you can really claim who you are, and then therefore know with whom you're equally yoked. But I want to go, like, I want to give like the again, the duality of it. Sexual, if you cultivate your sexual energy, you feeling good in your body, safe in your body, you feel good in your body. I mean, how many people actually feel good in their body? I think not too many. Like, I don't sometimes it's hard for me to actually step into other people's shoes because I am me, but the whole world is built on the industry of selling women things so they can feel better. But actually, like, once you understand your spiritual gift and you do the inner work, again, if you want to do the real inner work, write down Dream Builder and we get to start the work. So, doing your inner work, doing the womb cleansing, doing the inner child healing, doing the sexual energy healing, you become Vavavoom, right? You become Vavavoom, but with this Vavavoom comes a responsibility. Then you become, the energy flows, you're getting more and more creative. You have creative gifts and talents that you apply just like a fairy. That's how I see myself, just again using myself as an example because I'm the best person I know. So me, just being in the house, like, if you just have this, it is so natural to you. Cleaning, uh, cleaning, interior design, setting up something here, setting something up here, having an aesthetic eye, having an eye for, or not only an eye, but smell, like, it smells so good. Maybe it's fresh flowers, maybe it's a herbal like tincture, maybe it's a candle, maybe it's just the feel for opening the windows frequently, all of those things, like the feng shui of the home, of the house. The same thing applies to your body and your hair, right? All of these things, you just know what would be good for whatever, the body or the home, or um, everything that has to do with feeling good and ambiance and aesthetic and colors and dance, right? And as I said, creativity. If you have all those gifts, for you it's natural. Other people will see it as a threat or they want to siphon it. That's why if you don't know your value and that it has a value, a real life tangible value in the marketplace, you will give away your natural gifts, divine gifts, most valuable gifts away for pennies because you haven't learned to value them. Yeah. Same thing about your confidence. Your confidence is like a is more of a seen also confidence. When I speak about sexual energies, like is the baseline, you can feel it, right? But not everybody's tapped into that because it's a dangerous energy. But with confidence, people see it because it's more outwardly, like confidence in speaking clearly, looking people in the eye, just the way you move, like your stride, your vitality, right? You're like, people see it, and many people will become intimidated. Again, either they throw shade or they want to siphon your energy. Again, and people will say things like, oh, you think you're all that? Who do you think you are? Bitch, I am divine. That's how you need to answer to that. I am divine. I'm sorry if you haven't seen the light yet. That's how you need to answer from an embodied standpoint, right? Yeah. Same thing about your heart. Oof, with your heart energy, right? Spiritual women, we want to love. We want to give. We want to, like, for example, me again, like, when I love somebody, like, I want to touch them. I want to kiss them. I want to caress them. I want to touch their hair. I want to touch their cheeks. It's not sexual at all. Like, I do this with friends and with my cousin and with everybody that is close to me, and that's a small circle, but it's just love, right? Like, I want to physically love that person. And if you have that love, and I know that that's true for a woman who hasn't learned to understand the dark side of humans, yeah, that you will give your love to someone or some place that is not able, not cultivated enough, not ready to reciprocate in the same energy. Yeah. So either, again, somebody will like throw shade for you being kind and loving and nice, right? This is why the whole conversation is like, nice girls finish last, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but only if you don't know who to give it to, because we want to love. We are lovers. We are lovers. Like, we are the embodiment of love. So again, you have to understand that either people will hate you for your capacity to be so loving, and there's like an inexhaustible fountain of love inside of you. Either people will hate you for it, or they will want to siphon from you. They want to take your energy, whether it's men, women, family members, lovers, right? They will exploit you to the bone, because depending on how deep people are in darkness, meaning they haven't come to the awareness of their own capacity, their own divinity, their own power. This is where we speak about people being victims, right? If somebody hasn't come into the understanding and the embodiment of, I am not a victim, and no matter what happened to me, I am not a victim, and I am responsible for the life that I am creating from here on. There is a threshold that an individual has to cross at some point in their life, where they step out of the story, where they no longer blame their parents and say like, yeah, because I grew up poor, or because my mom was this, or because my dad was this, and because this is where I come from. These are causes, outside causes. Yes, it has influenced you. Absolutely. We don't want to negate that. But at some point, you have to take responsibility for your own life experience. And this is the day you step into maturity. Okay. This is the day where you're like, okay, yeah, I am no longer a victim to those influences from the past, but I am now stepping into sovereignty. I am stepping into taking my life into my own hands. And this is where we learn to step into our power, right? So many people have never come to that point, to that threshold, as I said. Many people still think, oh, I need because I'm so poor, right? Because I'm so poor. And sometimes it is dependent on where you come from. I always like to say that, like my family, the one part of my family comes from Ghana, and I've seen it, right? We know that there is a long line of conditioning and a long systematic influence into poverty and slavery and mental enslavement, and people thinking that they are nothing, you know. And this is a perpetual cycle, right? People thinking like, oh, I'm so poor just because I live in Africa. Like, I'm so poor, you need to give me money. So my father sent my family money and money and money and money and money, and they in Ghana, or in, I think, West Africa, we say they chop money. Yeah, they just ate the money without anything to show, really. So why I'm saying that is that sometimes, or many times, people will take advantage of your kindness, of your pure heartedness. Even if you have nothing to give, people will still take. And that has nothing to do with love. Okay? So you have to understand the dark side of human nature, and that is energy siphoning, being a predator, just looking out for an energy resource, whether it is sexual, whether it is joy, right? Whether it is a craft, whether it is a creative skill, or whether it is a love, right? So everyone who's trapped in their lower nature will look to you as an energy source, and they will suck you dry until you're dead. That's it. That is the dark side of the human. And the more pure hearted you are, the more you have to understand it, right? And the same, and I believe, and that's why, like, this is my era of speaking, because I've been on this journey, right, for a while now. And I had to learn everything I'm sharing with you. I had to learn for myself, because I've been a life coach. I've been initiated into the secrets of life, right? I've been through the temple. I have been through the temple path, because that's what it is. And also, my programs are temple spaces. It's an initiation into your divinity. So I'm not taking it lightly, right? You have to be ready to die to your old self, to be born anew into a higher dimension. So I have been through my spiritual initiation, purification, refinement, right? And it was like, from my beginning to here, 10 years of walking with my anointing, 10 years of seeing the darkness in humans, and also seeing how people either try to, um, how do you say, like, try to put me down or try to siphon from me. I have experienced all of it. So I'm speaking from experience, right? As an anointed one, as a spiritually gifted woman. So there is no love and light only. If you become the light, you will see more of the darkness. And you have to learn how to see the darkness. You have to look, really look, and understand the duality. And this is why, like, I made um, a little tangent here. But I believe one of the most powerful energy centers that you will activate once you purify all of the lower chakras in yourself. Once you purify your childhood things, and then your creativity and your confidence and your heart, you come to the throat, speaking your truth, opening your channel to speak your discernment of duality. This is where most women are blocked, very much blocked, because speaking truth requires you to see light and dark within yourself and others. This is the chakra of discernment. Not everything is the same. You see both and you make a judgment and speaking the truth. And this is like, I'm very well aware, like today we are in a very like awakened spiritual state, or many people online are speaking about spiritual principle. And what happens here is truly you stepping into your power, especially as a woman, because the throat is directly connected to the womb. There's like a tube, it's like a tube. It's a tube, and when your womb is not open for your sexual energy to circulate right, you can definitely not speak. And it can manifest as stuttering. It can manifest as, yeah, not being able to speak your truth, or not being able to claim your price, say no, protect yourself, protect your energy, protect your business, right? Saying no, saying yes, asking for help, asking for the sale, right? Speaking your powerful truth. It is all here. It is all here. That's why it's so important for you to activate all of it. But, and again, because I'm speaking about the dark side, right? Is that speaking something, if you're not cautious, that's why I'm saying you cannot just step into the highest version of yourself, or you cannot just step into becoming an ascended being, or living from your soul, or living from your truth. Like you have to cultivate that too, because if you say something, the power of the breath, speaking things into existence, powerful, powerful. You have to know how to wield that power. Otherwise, it can get you. Let me go to, I always go right to the, like to the root. It can get you killed. It can get you killed. So wield that power wisely. You cannot just say things, especially not to anybody. You cannot just be reckless with the power of speech. You cannot just speak the truth anywhere and everywhere. You have to be very mindful when you are using your voice. Especially, of course, online, you can say whatever you want most of the time, but it will definitely also give you backlash. But especially in the real world, like you cannot just walk somewhere and just say things, even if that's the truth, even if you know it, even if you knew that whatever you're speaking would liberate those people. You have to protect yourself, because if you are just, and this is also a very timeless ancient saying, and it's not always worth to give pearl to swine, you know, your wisdom, you have to know where to put it. I'm gonna give you another example of me here. Like now, I'm here on YouTube and sharing my wisdom with the intention for it to find the woman that is willing to step into her millionaire timeline, because you have gone to the root, and now we are creating the equivalent on the outside, right? You are spiritually gifted. You want to claim your spiritual gifts. You want to open the channel. Yeah. So everything if you want to do that again, write down the dream builder, and I will send you more information on that, because you cannot just speak. If you don't know what you're talking about, you shouldn't be claiming that you know what you're talking about, because there's always a price to pay. And especially with the speech, speaking things into existence will definitely create karma for you if it's not in alignment with who you are, with your truth, with your authority, with your integrity, and it will give you a slap in the face, literally, if you don't know where and when to say what. And I have to say again, I had to learn the hard way, because I have been reckless with my speech. And this is also something that just comes to me as I'm speaking, is that I always knew that I had the power of speech. Like, that is my gift. My gift is the power of speech. Even my mother said, like, she told me, that's why I know, like, for a long time, like, I spoke like very, very early, when I was born. I started speaking very, very early. And that's why I know is one of my spiritual gifts. It's a gift of speech. Just And that's it, observing the environment and reflecting it. But not everybody likes that, and we know it. And now it took a long time for me to reclaim it once I have been initiated into the temple of truth. So you have to be very careful activating those powers: sexual power, creative powers, confidence, heart. But I'm very sure, and probably because, again, it is my gift, and because I'm wielding it now, I know using the power of your voice will activate lethal energies in other people. Be aware of that. That's just what I'm saying. Be aware of that. It's the dark side that I'm speaking about today, right? So there is a dark side in activating your visions as well, definitely. But I think of course, it's not that tangible, but people can also, but that's very spiritual here as well. If you have visions, people speaking into you, or if they work on a spiritual level as well, people can, like, um, distort your vision. Yeah. Or even, and that's a big one, like having a connection to the divine, having like downloads and channels and whatnot. It's important to know what you're tapped in, because there are spiritual entities in people. That's also something I want to say, that human beings are spirits, right? If you're talking about as spiritual attacks, people are spirits. Yeah. Some are on a very low level, very, very low level. Some are like mid, and then there are the ascendant ones, right? Like the ones who have been initiated and have cultivated their spiritual gifts, right? So there are literally devils in human bodies, and there are angels in human bodies. There are different entities in human bodies. And then there are sometimes some people possess different energies, right? They're possessed by different energies. And the purer you are, the more of a pure frequency you have, once you, one spirit incarnates this one body, you have come to a level of self mastery, because you have purified yourself from spiritual beings who attack your spirit field, right? That's very esoteric, right? That's very esoteric. That's very occult, but that's what it is. If you sometimes feel like like who's talking, right? People call it like schizophrenia or whatever. It is spiritual as well, right? There's an entity, whether it is stuck entity or an ancestor or some kind of parasitic entity stuck in your auric field. I don't know if that's the right conversation for YouTube, but I just want to like give you that, right? People are speaking fluff. A lot of people don't really know what they're talking about in these spiritual streets here. But if you are like one entity embodying your body, you have purified yourself of leeches, right? Demonic entities, succubus, like energy vampires. And it's that's why hygiene is so important. Spiritual hygiene, emotional hygiene, mental hygiene, to again and again clarify your singular focus field and your connection to the purified source, to your higher self and the highest self. I hope that makes sense. But I again, I'm speaking to really some advanced level spiritualists here. So again, this video was supposed to be about the dark side of stepping into your highest self. It is a lonely path in the beginning. I always recommend you need a spiritual teacher. You need a spiritual mentor. You do. Yeah, nobody can do it alone because there are so many pitfalls and so much to learn. Because one part of spiritual ascension, I believe, is not just waking up into your gifts. You have to study. You have to study. It's a again temple space in the ancient times and still today. And that's why like it's such an interesting time that we're living in. In ancient times, people like me or people like you, we had to go to spiritual initiation schools. Yeah, and I'm speaking about just the same thing like Jesus. Jesus didn't just fall from the sky, right? There are stories about him that he went to ancient Egypt, he went to ancient India, he studied, the he went to the mystic schools. He studied the laws of the universe. He studied different technologies, if you want to call it that. And I had to go through that school too. And you will have to go through that school too. And if it calls you, I invite you. And the first step is into the Dream Builder, which is a temple space, which helps you to remember who you are and to do the inner work, to free yourself from all of the thoughts and energies that you might are still plugged into that prevent you from stepping into your higher self. But then once you do the work, there is a codex. And this is also what you learn when you teach with me, when you study with me. This is just what I learned from my mentors, right? You there is a code of conduct as an ascended being. There is a code of conduct. And if you don't know the code of conduct, you will still be lost out here in these spiritual streets. Because again, and just to wrap it up, because you have to understand that once you decide to walk that narrow path of ascending, you are separate from humans who are, as I said, on the different levels, from a lot of darkness, a lot of ignorance, very much in the human slash animalistic nature, and then the different layers of from darkness to light. Yeah. And once you are walking that path, you need some containment, and you need to know the code of conduct in order to navigate yourself through this world, and especially to stay in integrity with who you are in this world. Because we're not, and again, this is a very important thing in spiritual, in the spiritual community. You're not going to ascend into nothingness, right? You're not going to fly away. You need to learn how to walk on this earth. You need to learn how to be a practical spiritual. You have to be a spirit in a human experience, if that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for now. I'm probably going to make more videos on that because there's so much darkness, right? But I think it's so important for you as a spiritual seeker, becoming the best version of yourself, right? Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, right? You need to protect yourself. You need to protect yourself. It's not an easy, fun game like that. You have to know how to navigate yourself because you will be a target. You will be a target. People will like want to suck you dry on different levels: energetic, emotional, mentally, physically. You have to protect yourself, and you have to qualify the people that are wanting to come near you. Yeah, especially as a highly spiritual woman, because again, your energy is so subtle and your gifts are so subtle. If you don't claim them, if you don't value them, people will suck you dry. Okay, so that's it. I could talk for hours and hours, but let me know if what you took away from this video, and definitely also let me know if you are ready to step into your next timeline. People call it timeline or whatever. If you're ready to actually embody your goddess, to embody your spiritual gifts, and to walk in those gifts, and to give this gift to the world, and also get paid for your gifts, because your gifts are so valuable, so valuable. Yeah. So if you want to go into the temple space and build your dreams, write it down below, Dream Builder, and I'm looking forward to hear from you. Otherwise, see you in the next video.